And there's this CHNV thing. President Biden let more than 530,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela into the U.S. with this CHNV program. He did it with the stroke of a pen. And now a judge will not let President Trump undo it with the stroke of a pen. So are you guys going to give all 530,000 plus people individual deportation hearings, or are you just going to try to deport them?
Donald Trump's chief spokesperson, Karoline Leavitt, just held a disastrous press conference at the White House. During the event, Fox News reporter Peter Doocy asked whether Trump was considering sending American citizens to foreign prisons, such as those in El Salvador. Leavitt responded by saying that this is indeed something Donald Trump is exploring. Play the clip.
And there's this CHNV thing. President Biden let more than 530,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela into the U.S. with this CHNV program. He did it with the stroke of a pen. And now a judge will not let President Trump undo it with the stroke of a pen. So are you guys going to give all 530,000 plus people individual deportation hearings, or are you just going to try to deport them?
I spoke to White House counsel's office about this morning, because obviously another rogue district court judge is trying to block the administration's mass deportation efforts with this latest injunction. We will fight this in the court of law, and we will ensure that every individual who illegally entered our country and was really taken advantage of by the previous administration because they abused the parole system in this country to fast track legal status, as they said, for these illegal immigrants, and they completely abused our legal system. Many of these paroled individuals were then given temporary protected status, which the intention of that TPS was only supposed to be used in times of war or storm or destruction in the home countries of these migrants. It was completely abused. These migrants came here for economic reasons, and they illegally entered our country, and the president is not going to tolerate that, and so we will continue to focus on deporting as many individuals as we can.
Next, Karoline Leavitt was questioned about Donald Trump targeting individuals from his former administration, such as Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor. The reporter noted that Trump had directed the DOJ to pursue them and asked, "Isn't this weaponization?" Leavitt responded by saying, "Donald Trump's going to do what he's going to do." Play the clip.
Hi, Caroline.
Hi, it's good to see you in here.
You too. The president has long said that it would be an abuse of power for a president to direct prosecutors to investigate him. Last week, President Trump explicitly directed the Justice Department to scrutinize Chris Krebs to see if it can find any evidence of criminal wrongdoing. How is that not an abuse of power to direct the Justice Department to look into an individual, a named individual?
Look, the president signed that executive order. It's the position of the president in this White House that it's well within his authority to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have signed it. And he signed it, and that's his policy. Jeff, how are you?
Next, Karoline Leavitt stated, "You all heard what Nayib Bukele, the leader of El Salvador, said yesterday in the Oval Office. He's not going to smuggle foreign terrorists into the U.S. She went on to suggest that there's nothing stopping Donald Trump from abducting migrants from the United States, declaring them terrorists without evidence, and sending them to prison camps in El Salvador. She implied this could happen unilaterally, even if the individuals are innocent. Here, play the clip.
Still going off the El Salvador questions, yesterday in the Oval Office, administration officials made it very clear that El Salvador is responsible for Mr. Abrego Garcia, yet El Salvador's president said we're not going to do anything with him. So my question is, who is responsible for this man and where he's going to end up?
Well, no. First of all, President Bukele said that he is not going to smuggle a foreign terrorist back into the United States of America, as many in this room in the Democrat Party seemingly want him to do. Abrego Garcia was a foreign terrorist. He is an MS-13 gang member. He was engaged in human trafficking. He illegally came into our country. And so deporting him back to El Salvador was always going to be the end result. There is never going to be a world in which this is an individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland, because he is a foreign terrorist and a MS-13 gang member. Not only have we confirmed that, President Bukele yesterday in the Oval Office confirmed that as well. So he went back to his home country where he will face consequences for his gang affiliation and his engagement in human trafficking. I'm not sure what is so difficult about this for everyone in the media to understand, and it's appalling, truly appalling, that there has been so much time covering this alleged human trafficker and this gang member, MS-13 gang member. It's truly striking to me. Karen.
It's worth noting that the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 against the Trump administration, ordering the return of Abrego Garcia. In 2019, during Trump's first term, an immigration judge granted Garcia protected status. He had been living in Maryland and regularly checking in with ICE, as required by Trump's own immigration policies at the time. Clearly, the Trump administration in 2019 didn't view him as a serious threat. Otherwise, they would have taken stronger action. But now, the Trump team is labeling Abrego Garcia a terrorist as part of a fabricated war Trump claims is happening, using that as justification to detain him in a prison camp in El Salvador. Later, a Canadian reporter asks Levitt why Trump seems to have toned down his rhetoric toward Canada. Levitt replies, "Nope, we just haven't been asked yet." She then adds that Trump wants to annex Canada and make it the 51st state. Watch Caroline Levitt for yourself, the segment concludes. Play the clip.
If I may, President Trump's tone when it comes to Canada-U.S. relations, Canadians have noticed it's shifted a bit in the past few weeks. Ever since the election campaign started, he stopped talking about Canada becoming the 51st state, at least publicly. I'm wondering if that's on purpose and why.
I would reject the president's position on Canada has shifted. Perhaps he just hasn't been asked about Canada by questions from this group in the Oval Office, but they see him almost every day. But the president still maintains his position on Canada. The United States has been subsidizing Canada's national defense, and he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America. As for auto...
Man, this Trump regime just infuriates me. Elbows up, Canada. I totally get why you're boycotting and refusing to accept American goods. This isn't just a trade war anymore. It's becoming a real war. When Trump and his spokesperson talk about Canada as the 51st state, it mirrors the rhetoric Putin used about Ukraine. Just like Putin used the excuse of denazification, Trump and his regime are now claiming Canadians are somehow responsible for killing Americans with fentanyl. That's simply false. There's no fentanyl coming from Canada. It's a homegrown issue, and the Trump regime's obsession with taking over Canada is disgusting, a twisted fantasy that's absolutely despicable. Then, a reporter asks Caroline Levitt about Chinese officials and influencers mocking the Trump regime and calling it pathetic. Here's her response. Let's play the clip.
This last week, Chinese officials were posting videos on, social media sites depicting a Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk in AI-generated videos working in factories, putting together Nike shoes and, iPhones and products like that. Does the White House, have they seen these videos? Do you guys have a response to that?
I have seen the videos. I'm not sure who made the videos or if we can verify the authenticity, but whoever made it clearly does not see the potential of the American worker, the American workforce. The president believes in the American people, and he knows that we have the best, not only consumer base in the world, but also the best workforce in the world, and that's why he's so focused on bringing investments home and shoring up our critical supply chains and bolstering our manufacturing here as well. Brett.
Caroline Levitt then falsely claims that she and the Trump regime are fully complying with all court orders, even though they are blatantly violating multiple rulings, especially the one concerning Abrego Garcia, as well as others, like the order to reinstate the Associated Press reporter to the White House press pool. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Play the clip.
Hi, how concerned is the president that a federal judge could hold a Trump administration official in contempt of court for defying deportation orders?
We are complying with all court orders. So I see what you're trying to do there with that question, but we're very confident that every action taken by this administration is within the confines of the law, and we continue to comply with the court's orders. And you have seen that, and the president made that clear yesterday in the Oval Office with President Bukele.
Once again, we're witnessing something straight out of an Orwellian dystopian nightmare. This isn't just a constitutional crisis. It's already far beyond that. We're living under an authoritarian regime that's starting to resemble North Korea under Kim Jong-un. The world is horrified, our adversaries are mocking us. And meanwhile, Caroline Leavitt is up at the White House podium, acting like Kim Jong-un's propaganda mouthpiece in a pink dress, spouting pure nonsense. Then Leavitt tries to justify Trump's decision to revoke Temporary Protected Status, TPS, for Venezuelans, Haitians, Cubans, and other Latino communities in the U.S. She claims that the Biden administration abused these individuals by granting them protection. According to her, the real way to save them is to take away their status and either send them to detention camps, or worse, return them to the countries they fled from as political refugees. She literally says that protecting them was the abuse, and now they're being saved by being deported back into danger. Watch the clip.
And there's this CHNV thing. President Biden let more than 530,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela into the U.S. with this CHNV program. He did it with the stroke of a pen. And now a judge will not let President Trump undo it with the stroke of a pen. So are you guys going to give all 530,000 plus people individual deportation hearings, or are you just going to try to deport them?
I spoke to White House counsel's office about this morning because obviously another rogue district court judge is trying to block the administration's mass deportation efforts with this latest injunction. We will fight this in the court of law, and we will ensure that every individual who illegally entered our country and was really taken advantage of by the previous administration because they abused the parole system in this country to fast track legal status, as they said, for these illegal immigrants, and they completely abused our legal system. Many of these paroled individuals were then given temporary protected status, which the intention of that TPS was only supposed to be used in times of war or storm or destruction in the home countries of these migrants. It was completely abused. These migrants came here for economic reasons, and they illegally entered our country, and the president is not going to tolerate that, and so we will continue to focus on deporting as many individuals as we can.
Here's Caroline Leavitt, sounding like she's reading straight from a fifth-grade school project, as she discusses sending people to extermination camps. It's important to note, while she's saying this, the media's outrage over these deportations is deeply frustrating. Honestly, you should all be ashamed of yourselves. Play the clip.
On that note, the Democrat and media outrage over the deportation of Abrego Garcia, an MS-13 El Salvadorian illegal alien criminal who was hiding in Maryland, has been nothing short of despicable. Based on the sensationalism of many of the people in this room, you would think we deported a candidate for Father of the Year. That's because, unfortunately, many in this country care more about this quote-unquote Maryland father, a legal alien MS-13 gang member, than a Maryland mother and an American citizen who was brutally murdered at the hands of a different illegal alien. Of course, I am referring to Rachel Morin. And if you didn't see yesterday, a Maryland jury found illegal alien Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez guilty of murdering Rachel Morin in August of 2023.
Utterly despicable, utterly authoritarian. Call out Trump for what he is: a felon, a sexual predator, a sexual abuser, a fraud, a two-bit piece of trash, dictator. Do not back down to the bully. Rise up. Keep the protests going. Stand up right now. America and the world.